Hey guys, Yotta here. Everyone loves tanks. Unless of course you're a Russian and you see a Ukrainian tractor, obviously. But for the most part, everyone loves tanks. And Normandy has quite a lot of them. As you can see here, just how many tanks there are in the game. Now, this video is going to be a remake of one of my actually most popular videos. And that is basically me looking at every tank which you unlock from the tech tree. So this is not going to be stuff like the Panther 3 M or the Stug or the 4J here. Instead, this is going to be looking at all of the unlockable armoured vehicles and basically just ranking them from the worst, the absolute worst, to the absolute best. Now, I have used these all quite extensively, so a few more than others. Like, I haven't used the I've used them all obviously, but I haven't used the 76W here as much as the other tanks. I've had this for a couple, I've only had this only for quite briefly actually. I've used it a few times. It's alright. It's okay, but yeah. And, well, I'm actually not going to ruin it. I think I actually, obviously I did a video on the unlocks. And yeah, I'm going to rank these from worst to best. We'll start with the absolute worst and work our way down to the best. Coming at no one's surprise, at number 12 now, as I'm trying to think. At number 12, no surprise, it is the M10. Now, why is the M10 at number 12? Well, for the start, let's look at the pros. It has a very powerful gun. It has the joint most powerful weapon for the 3 allied vehicles. You can see here, this is the, it's the M7 cannon, which is the joint most powerful weapon. And it can do quite a bit of damage against a lot of targets. Like, it can pen pretty much anything the Axes have. But why is it only at number... why is it dead last? Well, first, no coax, okay? It's got no coax gun at all. And this is a huge, huge hindrance, especially when you've got something like the M10, which has, no real ways to defend itself, basically, without the coax. Now, obviously, I'm failing to kill the Panther here, but it is possible. It's actually... But yeah. Honestly, this thing just... It feels like an afterthought, in a way. Yeah, you can see here, it can take out Tigers, it can take out every vehicle the Axis throws at it. But the problem is that it's slow. It's got an arse rate a turn rate. It does have it's got actual good APC-BC, which some other allied vehicles don't have, but it just doesn't have some of the the good stats that other allied vehicles have. And, I mean, you can take out pretty much anything with this thing, so... I mean, it's good in that department. But, then again, it's like, why bother with this when there's another option? Really, later down the line. Like, also, the elephant in the room, I haven't even addressed this yet. It's completely exposed. You're completely exposed as a driver. Right, when you're using the machine gun. Also, this is an exposed ammo rack. You can actually jump on top of the tank with a machine gun and just fire. You can literally just do that. Kill the crew, or the guy on top, and you can just fire at the ammo here and kill the M10, literally anything. And it's got weak armor as well. I once shot the thing, literally tapped it with the Jumbo's AP, which, by the way, the AP on the Jumbo is notoriously weak, and it just destroyed it with one shot, and it destroyed it in one hit. Again, the only real good side it has is it's got the good cannon, but why bother using the cannon when you just it's very slow for a start, and it's just very unmaneuverable, and it's open topped. There's a lot of reasons to hate this, which is why it's coming in at dead last. Anyways, let's move on to number 11. Coming in at number 11 was actually the tank that came at number 1 for the worst tanks in my original video, and that is, of course, the what's it called? The Panzer IIIM. Now, the problem with the Panzer III is its cannon is very weak. Now, obviously, I do know it's supposed to be an infantry support weapon, but my god, I do not like this thing at all. It really does not do much. It also has a glitched hitbox. Like, it's really annoying to try and take people out in this thing. But yeah, it's kind of not... It's not the best tank in my opinion. Like, obviously I know it is designed for taking out infantry, not taking out vehicles. But it can take out some vehicles. Like, you can see here I've taken out a Lotus, I've taken out a Scott, I've taken out about half a dozen M10s with this thing. But it really does struggle against anything with armor. I mean, yeah, you can see here it can pen the Sherman, but then again, anything can pen a Sherman. Yeah, it's not... I don't really like this much. It's still one of my least favourites, but the problem is, it's not... At least it's not outdone. Like, it's not... You literally don't have a complete, you know, upgrade on it in the tech tree. Well, you do, which is the Panzer IV-J, because that thing just stomps over anything, over the 3. But you don't, you know, it's not like a tank, you know, it's a tank that's okay. But I'm not really a fan of it. It's okay. It's an okay tank. It's not god-awful like the M10, but it's okay. Anyways, let's move on to number 10. Number 10 is the Stuart. Now, I'm using the Rhino Stuart here, which has a bit of more advantages over the regular Stuart, as in it actually has working AP rounds, but really the same, the problem, the problem to the Stuart you can have with the Rhino. Now, the main problem with the Stuart is its gun. Like, yeah, the only tank you can reliably kill are Pumas like this. Like, if I try and take out this 4H, again, not really anything. You can't really do anything to a 4H. Well, obviously you can do a lot more with this Rhino if you have the Rhino. If you don't have the Rhino, then you basically have no real thing. Like, you can take out a 4J with a Rhino, but it's really hard. But the main thing you want to do with a Stuart is just keep moving. The one thing you should never do with the Stuart, and same with the Puma, is keep moving. It has a quick reload time as well, as you can see. And you can eventually kill a Panther, but you can eventually kill a Panther with this thing, but you have to basically just keep pepper potting it and just keep circling around it. Which, again, it's a very skill-based tank. Which is why I think it's actually a really bad starter tank. Now, I will say that the jump between the number 11, which was the Panzer III, and this is a huge jump. But I'm just going to say that the Stuart is still pretty good. It's just that the problem... And you can, of course, do a lot of damage if you know what to do and where to hit. However, you need to be smart about it. This is not a vehicle where you pretty much can play dumb. If you play dumb for even a second, you will be minced. The same goes with another tank, but yeah, honestly, the Stuart is it's a fine tank, but it's just that there's so many better tanks, and its main weakness is its turret. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on to number 9. At number 9 is the Scott. Now, the M8 Scott is actually... It has some good strengths, but it has some big weaknesses. Number one, the main weakness, which is something that it shares with the well, it shares the similar weaknesses to something like the M8 Scott, not the M8 Scott, to the M10, such as literally, I mean, no, look at this, it's got absolutely no, you know, it can't really turn well. You know, you can't really turn this thing well. It has good maneuverability though, unlike the Scott. Like, unlike the, it's actually not too, it's not too bad in terms of maneuverability. It just has a very slow turret. But it has some good advantages. Number one, it is possibly the best Normandy vehicle in terms of, like, anti-infantry. Like, this is an anti-infantry specialist. The 75 howitzer just cuts through infantry. Number two, heat rounds. I've been front-penned in a panther with these things. You can destroy pretty much anything with these. Like, I'm going to roll up to this tiger right now. And, you know, they're not the best in terms of, like, but, you know, it's heat. You can't really go wrong with it. You can see here, there's a lot of red on the tiger, so it's not as easy to take out the tiger. It might be because it's angled, actually. If I was pulling up on alongside it, probably, yeah. You see here, as I've pulled up alongside it, it's a lot easier to kill. Didn't even pen, but anyways. Yeah, this thing is it's okay. It's a really good support weapon. And you can I have seen these things destroy essentially everything. In a good player's hands, these things can definitely be number one. Like, number one. You can see here, it took out a panther. Like, I think these things can actually take out stuff like panthers, like tigers. Like, obviously, I'm not sure about tigers, but I know it can. You can see here, it did take out that panther. So, yeah. But it has some disadvantages. Main one is definitely well, the main one, of course, is it's open topped, like the M10, but unlike the M10, it's actually I'm pretty sure it's impossible to ammo rack this thing unlike the M10. Yeah, you can't really ammo rack it. Like, you can't jump on top and ammo rack it like the M10, but it comes with one minor disadvantage, which is the ammo rack is very easy to hit with anti-tank weapons. You basically aim anywhere in the front and this thing dies. It doesn't matter what you're using. You can even use a stern pistol and be pretty shit with the stern pistol and you'll still ammo rack this thing. That being said, it's obviously, of course, it's meant to be a long-range vehicle like the M10, but it doesn't really have much of a... Unlike the M10, it doesn't really have much of a competition, where the M10, of course, has the A1 with the 76. The Sherman with the 76. Anyways, let's move on to number 8. Coming in at number 8, it's the Puma. Now, the Puma is everything the Scott should have been. It's basically everything the Scott should be. It's fast, it's speedy, and it has a decent cannon. Now, the cannon's not the best, and it does struggle a bit against some targets, but you can see here, like, it can do some good damage if you know what to do. Now, obviously, this thing is probably the weakest tank in terms of armor. You can destroy this thing, you can pen this thing with a HE round next to it. You can pen it with a machine gun. You can pen it with anything, really. But it has a decent cannon, and it has some good HE, actually. It got some good AP. With APC, which, it's alright. And it's got a decent cannon on it, which I would say the only real downside against the Puma, and it's also got an MG42, which is actually, it's probably got one of the better LMGs for tanks. Not as good as something like, say, the Browning 50 cal or something else like that. But it's still really good, and it's just fun to use as well. That's another thing. It's fun to use, and honestly, it's a good tank. And it's fast as well. It's another thing. Like the Stuart, its main top thing you have to do this is just keep moving. It doesn't matter what you're doing, just keep moving. Don't stop moving. If you stop moving for a second, you die. Obviously, of course, and you can see, you know, it's great for kiting around tanks. Like for example, this M10. If this was of course, a player, the M10 would basically be it'd be impossible for the M10 to get me because I can just keep flying around it and I can knock out its ammo rack, wherever it is. I'm failing to hit the ammo rack on an M10 here. Oh well, doesn't matter. All this Sherman here, like. Oh, no, it's just another M10. I meant to hit the Sherman. I am an idiot. But yeah, you can see, you can hit, you know, ammo racks easily. It's a good tank, actually. It's a good vehicle, but again, it's very, very skills oriented. You have to be smart with it. If you're not smart, then you are dead. Which is why it's actually only coming in at, which is why it's coming in at number 8, because basically it's a very skill-based vehicle. A good skill-based vehicle, but skill-based nonetheless. And while it does have the firepower to take out any allied tank, again, you have to be smart, and just randomly firing into the front of a jumbo won't do anything. You have to use the Puma's all of its advantages and trying to negate its weaknesses. Anyways, let's move on to number 7. Taking a bit of a tumble in the ratings is actually the regular Sherman, the M4A2. Now, the M4A2 isn't too bad compared to the other tanks mentioned before. It's got some good advantage. It's actually just a well-rounded tank, but the problem with the problem with it is it's just it's just well-rounded. It's not good at anything, and it's not bad at anything. You can see here, I mean, look at that. It just takes out that. You can take out, you saw that, that was a kill shot on the J. It can take out most vehicles that are. The problem is, of course, when you try to take out something like this, and what it really perfects at is, obviously the weapon's not the best, but it goes in a straight line, so it's good at knocking out ammo, knocking into ammo racks if you know where to hit. So it's more precise. You have to be much more precise with this. Also, I believe, hold on, where is it? I'll just waste this shot into the back of the Panzer III here. But there's actually, I think, you can still take out Pumas with HE with this thing. So, yeah, very good vehicle. Actually, can you still knock out Panzer III Js with this, with the armor pierce, with the HE on this? Because you used to be able to take out Panzer III Js. You could occasionally take out Panzer III Js with this. You might be able to still, but with the high explosive. But yeah, it's just a well-rounded tank, but the problem is, being well-rounded doesn't really matter against, some of the later things. Also, the AP isn't that good. The AP really is not that good. So, that's why it's coming in at number 7. So really, well-rounded, but there's better well-rounded tanks, in my opinion, in the game, which are unlocked a little bit later. That, and also, it really does struggle against anything other than the Puma and the Panzer III. It starts struggling against. Like, obviously the Panther is a bad example here. It takes about 3 shots to kill a Panther from the side. I'm not even going to attempt with the Tiger. I mean, I could just attempt right now, but while I'm talking. But yeah, it's a very, obviously Tiger is very good, but yeah. Anyways, let's move on to number 6. Coming in at number 6 is the Panzer IV J. Now, the J is, in my opinion, just off the wrong button. The J is just an awesome tank. Like, honestly, this is another good all-round tank, which I mean, there's not much to say about the J, actually, that hasn't really already been said about the Sherman. It's a great all-round tank, but there's just one major problem with the J. And I'm going to show it right now. Can you guess what it is yet? Yeah, the Panzer IV-J has one massive glaring weakness. And that is, it just takes so long to turn in this thing. Like, you will turn... Like, this thing takes so long to turn a turret. Now, it's not as slow as something like the M10 or the Scott. Nowhere near. But it just could not get any higher than the number 6. Just because of, well, one major thing, actually. Which I'll just talk to about now. Yeah, obviously number 5 has to go to the H. Taking its traditional place as being better than the J in every way. The H's main thing is, well, it just does a lot of damage. Like, it's basically the exact same thing as the H. Not the H, the H is the same thing as the J. But it has a lot, it's just better in every way. Like, for example, it has protective side skirts, so you can't actually get killed by, so you have a little bit more side protection. You also have, you know, it's also got a working movable turret. So it's actually fun to, you know, you can actually use it to decent success. You know, you can actually, you know, turn around, you know, you can actually, you know, you can turn the turret decently, actually, in this thing. It's actually really good. I really do like the J. The J is actually underrated, and yeah, this thing can take out Jumbo. This thing can take out basically any allied tank with ease. The J can do the exact same thing, but it's just better than the J. It's a direct upgrade to the J. Kind of like how the Jumbos are a direct upgrade to the Sherman. This thing's a direct upgrade to the J. Anyways, let's move on to number 4. 4 is the newest allied tank to be unlocked. It is, of course, the Sherman. Now, this Sherman is, of course, the A1 version, so it doesn't have a good engine. So that's another thing. It doesn't really have a good engine. That's the real first thing. It also doesn't have it's basically got the exact same faults as the Sherman in terms of armor, but it has a much better gun. I just completely missed that ammo rack. I absolutely completely missed the Puma's ammo rack there. And again. Oh, it doesn't matter. So, the main benefits this thing has over the M10, which was dead last on this. Number 1, it has a working... basically, it's not open-topped. So, unless you're up firing out the hatch, you really should not be... You know, you shouldn't get crew killed, basically. Unless you're literally firing out the hatch. Other than that, it's got pretty much the exact same gun as the M10. So it has the same strength as the M10, but it gets rid of all of its weaknesses, which is why it's easily coming in at number 4. Now, the only reason it's not higher is it has weaknesses. Number 1, it's not the quickest. It's not too quick. Number 2, and this is really damning for it, it just doesn't have it doesn't have the armor. And you'll know what I mean if you've used it, but if you haven't used it, basically it's got almost identical armor to the regular Sherman, which is it lacks some of the weak spots of the regular Sherman, so it's a lot harder to kill than those. But it just has some disadvantages over, you know, over those over the regular Sherman. Like it has a better gun, though, and it has worse ammo. But it has worse ammo, so yeah. I mean, by worse ammo, I mean worse ammo count. It's got a better ammo because APCBC's such a good ammo. Is actually pretty good against, you know, stuff like, well, basically anything. I knew this would know. Why am I trying to do this? Only a tiger can really kill a panther from front. Oh, and that T-34, but that doesn't count. Yeah, anyways, it's a fine tank, but yeah, not, you know, not the best, which is why it's coming in at number 4, and it's not even the best allied tank in my opinion. Anyways, let's move on to number 3. Now, obviously, this was the big tank of the last video. If you watched the last video, I had this at number 1. I really have to say that the Jumbo kind of has lost some of its charm with the, and some of the what made it great with the new update. So the main thing is the Panther and the obviously you can see the Panther and the Tiger are the only tanks which haven't been mentioned, so they're going to be better than this. But really, there's not much to say about the Jumbo that wasn't already said about the. It's basically the exact same in terms of stats. It's almost the exact same as the A2, but the problem is that the A2 doesn't have. This has the survivability that the A2 lacks. So, if you don't know, the A2 really does not have good survivability. This thing, on the other hand, unless you're against me, you will survive almost anything with the Jumbo. It's definitely the best allied tank, but there's a bit of a problem with it. Is that everyone thinks it's invincible. It's not invincible. It's not the perfect tank. Like, you can see here, it will do nothing against the Tiger. You know, Panthers, unless you're taking it on from behind or from the side, you're really not going to do anything against a Panther. It will destroy Panzer IV-J, and it will destroy Pumas and stuff like that quite easily. But it does nothing to Tigers. It does nothing to, you know, some of the later vehicles. But it's still a strong vehicle, and it's a very good, worthy number 3. And it is definitely the best allied vehicle. Anyways, let's move on to number 2. Coming in at number 2 is actually the tank that was number 2 originally on my original video. It is, of course, the the Panther. Yeah. This tank has not moved at all. Like every other vehicle in this video moved slightly. You know, they moved slightly. Some, you know, some got better, some got lower, but everything moved. Other than the new vehicles, but the Panther was the only vehicle to not move an inch since the last video. And to put it bluntly, the reason being is it's just, you know, it's the Panther. You cannot go wrong with this thing. It will destroy anything. I mean, obviously this bad example of that Stuart, for some reason the Stuart's tanky as fuck. But you can hit the... I miss the ammo rack. Fuck. But yeah, these things are very good against essentially everything. In fact, there's not really much to say about the Panther. The only real bad thing I have with the Panther is that its turret is very easy to kill. And it's a very large target for air attacks. That's literally the only downside I have with this vehicle. It's got great AP, great HE. It's pretty much just a perfect vehicle in every way, shape and form. And it comes in easily at number 2 again. But there was one contender that just beat it out. Once again, it was just beaten out again. Now, it is more improved, like I said, it has improved. It did improve over the Jumbo. The Jumbo was number 3. But there was, again, one more contender that just edged it out. I don't think I need to say any more why. Like, I don't even need to say why. I just need to show this, why it's number 1. Like, if you've gone against me on this as a while I'm using my Tiger, you'll understand why. The Tiger is so fucking good. Like, let's start with the pros. It's insanely good against anything. You send this against a Panther. You can send this against a Panther, like the number 2 vehicle, and it will still win. Honestly, you can see how much. Look at how much, like, if you hover over this thing, you can see how much everything gets hit when you fire into a vehicle. You fire into any vehicle, everything gets hit. It has ridiculous post pen. You literally fire at a vehicle, doesn't matter what vehicle. It can be a Sherman, it can be an M10, it can be anything. And it just shatters apart at how strong it is, this tank is. Now, there is some bad things about this, which is shared with the Panther, like I said. Number one, it's slow. It's not that quick. It takes a while to accelerate. But when you get going, it's okay, I guess. Number two, it's really just a humongous target. And I mean a humongous target. If you... Like, again, it's another tank where you actually have to constantly keep moving. Because if you don't keep moving, you will actually get killed by either a plane or you'll get killed by, you know, something like that. You can see here as well, I think that is a jumbo. That looks like a jumbo. It could, yeah. That is a jumbo. But, yeah, you can see, you can... I'll just pull up to this jumbo on the side, and it's honestly, yeah, it's, you know, if you're firing at the correct angle, you can pen through the jumbo. Obviously, of course, the classic machine gun port still works, but you know, it's quite easy. You can see here, I've knocked out. That's how easy it is to knock out a turret, by the way, on a jumbo. And, you know, obviously, of course, if you ever need any help taking out a jumbo, this is the perfect place to do so. Around here. I missed it, but it hit... Well, it set it on fire, so that means the crew's going to dismount. And if you hit around here, you'll destroy it. You'll hit the ammo rack eventually. But yeah, it's a very strong vehicle, and honestly, just so capable of, you know, proving why it's number one. And the thing is, you can actually, like, there, you see, I blew up the ammo. But the thing is, this thing can take out the Panther as well in close range. Like, I've beaten Panthers, and that's plural, that's Panther Gs as well, with this thing at, you know, 1v1. And as well as that, it's just, you fire, and it's just an instant tap. You tap this thing, you tap a tank, and they're dead, basically. You can see there I've knocked out its transmission, so it can't move. Boom. I didn't, like, that's how good this thing is. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. Just, I love this, I love the Tiger so much. Such a great vehicle. Honestly, probably the best vehicle, my favourite vehicle in the game so far. Like, this update was so good for Normandy. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave your thoughts in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys prefer the Panther? Do you guys prefer the Tiger? Obviously, of course, the Panther is number 2, so... You know, it's a strong vehicle, but yeah. Which one do you prefer? And I'll see you guys in the next video.